My first Distinguished Military Service Medal. Entry by Kim Joo-han. In July 1950, the combined units of the Korean People's Army, which were deployed in the middle of the front, fought fierce battles against the enemy, defending the Sobek mountain range. This region was favorable for defense but not for attack. Despite a tough resistance from the enemy, the KPA units continued to push southwards. It was around this time that I received an order from my division build a crossing across the Han River for the passage of the personnel and munitions bound for the front. I immediately set out for the river together with 5 of my soldiers. It was a long, arduous march on which we could hear an incessant rumble of artillery fire. It sounded as if our comrades in arms were demanding more bullets and bombs. Upon arriving at the destination, we were divided into 2 teams. The first team was charged with fixing the site of the crossing and the second one with chopping trees for use in making rafts. Rifles and bags were all what we had, and there were only a few houses nearby. We borrowed an axe from the residents. We fixed the site of the crossing on the upper reaches of the river. No sooner had we made rafts than a batch of trucks loaded with bombs arrived. Signalmen were as busy as bees, blowing their whistles. It was when the last truck was entering the river that I saw a dozen remnants of the enemy lurking in the woods. I, together with 3 soldiers, made a dash to where they were hiding themselves. Both sides opened fire. Hitting the targets behind trees was not easy. My men were firing their automatic rifles hastily. I shouted at them, "Save bullets! Take aim with care!" Shooting subsided, my men and I remaining on tenterhooks. After a while, I noticed a head rising from the bushes and immediately fired at him. It was a good shot, but he already threw a hand grenade, which flew into the air and landed under a truck trailer. That hand grenade, my hoarse voice, tailed away. It was barely audible amid another deafening salvo. I seemed to be hearing the sound of a terrible explosion. At this critical moment, a young signalman rushed towards the truck and grasped the hand grenade, which detonated in the blink of an eye. I held in my arms the private surnamed Kang, who was unconscious. I called him, and he recovered his senses after a minute. Breathing his last, he requested to have the trucks pass without delay. The private was as tall as a rifle. He would pester me to send him to the front, saying that when applying for admission to the army, he was 2 years younger than the accepted age limit, and he became a soldier not to feed horses and play a messenger in the rear. When he decided to rescue the truck from near explosion, he must have hoped that his comrades in arms would avenge the death of their fellow countrymen in place of him. His heroic death made us become more keenly aware that our mission was fundamental to transporting material to the front. From the following day onwards, we faced greater challenges because of an air raid. The crossing, shelters, and rafts were the major targets of enemy aircraft. Undaunted, we dredged the river to restore the crossing, repaired the shelters, and made rafts. One day, while working at the site of the crossing with my men, I discovered 3 duds. We immediately buckled down to the removing of the bombs. I worked by the sweat of my brow, as another batch of trucks was soon to arrive. No sooner had I tied a rope around the tail of the last bomb than I heard a loud explosion within calling distance. There was another dud we failed to discover. I was thrown up into the air. Regaining consciousness, I saw a teary-eyed private looking down at me. I asked him how the removing work was proceeding. He answered that they were digging up the last dud. I struggled to get up on my feet, but the soldier restrained me. I protested, "Time is pressing. If we fail to make it, the trucks can't move on, and our comrades in arms on the front line will be dangerous." I dragged my legs and walked into the river. It was only for a few days that we worked on the river, but the trucks that passed it to the front were countless. Charged with another mission, we left the crossing for a place that was far away from the front. However, that mission, too, was highly risky like all others we received later. Not long after we left the Han River, I had the honor of being admitted to the Workers' Party of Korea and was awarded the Distinguished Military Service Medal.